Hello and welcome to our panel today. My name is Latanza Adjei. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Georgia Power Company. And we're going to have a conversation today with you on increasing resiliency and decreasing carbon. You will be very pleased with the panel that we've pulled together. And so I'll go ahead and invite them to come on up. You can see from the screen we've got Jeff Oden. We're actually in his space. He's the Senior Director for Campus Operations here at the Georgia World Congress Center. Eddie Hunt is with us. He is the Energy Manager for the Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, Georgia. And then also Crystal Lassiter is with us, and she's the Senior Director of Global Sustainability and Environmental Affairs at UPS. So we'll get you guys to get seated and join us for a very rich conversation on sustainability and resiliency. So you know their names, you know their titles. I think what we're going to do is allow them to introduce themselves briefly, to share what is your role and also what function does your company play for, of course, is the community and its customers. So would you want to go ahead and get us started, Jeff?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say thank you guys for attending the Georgia World Congress Center. It's an honor and a pleasure to host you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and sitting on the panel amongst you guys. My role here at the Congress Center, I'm the Senior Director of Campus Operations, the Latanza had made mention, and I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of the campus, and that includes from facility operations, facility management, and capital improvement.
Very good, thank you. Go ahead, Crystal.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Crystal Lassiter with UPS. My role is global sustainability and environmental compliance, and so I'm sure most of you, I hope most of you know us as a company who delivers to most of your homes and businesses envelopes and packages, but we also do more than that. We do have over 400,000 employees, and we are able to offer logistics services, freight forwarding. We move over 10,000 vehicles, 100,000 vehicles every day, fly over 200 planes every day. And so that's what we do in the community.
Thank you. We get many of those brown boxes.
Yeah.
All right, Eddie, your turn.
Thanks for everybody coming in, and thanks, Latanza, for letting me be on the panel. I appreciate it. I'm Eddie Hunt. I'm the Installation Energy Manager for the Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, Georgia.
Yeah.
I've been there about 20-something years, and our load is about 10 megawatts now.
Yeah, and would you tell them what the Marine Corps Logistics Base, the function that it serves?
We're a logistics base, and we have 19 warehouses, and each warehouse has 5 bays, and each bay is an acre. So everything the Marine Corps uses is stored there, and we have a maintenance center that works on all the rolling stock and the firearms for the Marines.
Absolutely. So you can see we've curated for you a great panel. Think about that. We've got critical infrastructure to our country's Department of Defense. We've also got a public venue that's used to hosting millions of customers and visitors on an annual basis. And then, of course, UPS is making sure that we all get the products and move the goods that we need. Now we're going to talk, though, about how you guys do this work in a way that's sustainable and also resilient, our topic, right? Now that we've met you. So now let's talk about the definition of sustainability and resiliency. What do those things mean to you? And is there a difference or really a similarity? Are those two topics intertwined for you as well?
Well, I think for UPS, they go together. I think for sustainability and resiliency, I think for us it is making sure that we are making decisions that show our responsibility to our customers, as well as decisions that show that we are trying to reduce our impact to the environment, as well as our, looking at making business decisions that will make sure that we are around for long-term viability. And I also think when it comes to us for resiliency and what we do, we definitely have goals around sustainability to reduce our impact to the environment. But when you think about sustainability holistically and what that does for the community and the world and people and how weather can impact it, we also have resilient projects and partnerships that we have, like with Zipline, where we partner with an organization to help move medical supplies over in Uganda. So there are ways that we do things that are resilient for the community, even though it's not a part of our sustainability goals.
Understood. Thanks.
Let me give you the government definition of resiliency.
Just as someone from the Marines would.
It's the ability of a system to anticipate, resist, absorb, respond, adapt, recover from a disturbance, or in my short explanation, it's to cope with stress and crisis and then bounce back quickly.
Very good. I think that definition really does expand across all of us, right?
It really does.
Yeah. So when there's a disruptive event, how quickly can you bounce back? How can you minimize the impact of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly the military operations have very little tolerance to be off the grid.
Yeah. It's we experienced a tornado in January of 17 and a hurricane in October of 18. So we've been through this.
Yeah.
And Georgia Power will put us back in 2 weeks. We're all back up and running. So
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You know what, I'll add to bouncing back and just how hard it is to be down. And one thing that we do around our goals is we have what we call a rolling laboratory. And that rolling laboratory is alternative fleet vehicles. So we have some vehicles that are electric, some that are fueled by conventional gas and diesel, some that are fueled by propane or CNG, compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas. And the last hurricane, the big hurricane that hit Houston,
Yes.
I mean, and nobody could get gas because the trucks couldn't get out. It really hit down in the area where all of those gas companies are. But because in that area we had CNG vehicles, we were able to still get out and deliver.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about resiliency, and I think a part of that is having a mix of tools or supplies that allow us to deliver in different types of vehicles, as opposed to if we just had all gas or conventional diesel vehicles, we wouldn't have been able to still service the community.
That's right. You're able to adapt, aren't you? Yep. To whatever is the position you need to take at the time.
For sure.
Very good. Jeff, you want to add?
Similar to Eddie and Crystal, back in 2008, if you're not aware, Atlanta experienced a tornado. First time in my lifetime. I'm a Georgia resident all my life, and Atlanta took on a tornado. We had several events going on. At that particular time, as we had the Georgia Dome, we had a couple events inside the World Congress Center. We fully anticipated the following day to be able to carry on our activities. Obviously, we had some customers that was depending on us to bounce back. So part of our plans, particularly that a lot of learning lessons that we learned from the tornado, we were able to come in that following, like an hour after, we had great responses from Georgia Power. We had great responses from our local neighbors and our community, our construction companies that we have built great partnerships with. We hate to tell people no. We hate to turn away business. We hate not to open the doors up. Unfortunately, we were unable to do that, but we were able to have a couple events that to take place. So it's important for us to help build that infrastructure to be resilient.
Yeah.
You talk about sustainability. We're all been in Smart City, super cool event, but GWCC is also hosting other events in the other buildings.
Yes.
And if you could think of the logistics that's going on, that's behind the scenes work that it takes place, or that it takes to put stuff like this in place, there's a lot of trash and debris that is generated from such events, and we try to find opportunities to, like some of the carpet that's inside this particular room, or some of the palletized material, some of the water, some of the food. We try to take that and give that back to the community or repurpose that.
Right, very good. So we see how important it is that we are sustainable and resilient and how all of you guys get that. Let's talk about specific goals or objectives that you have in the space. Has your company embraced a target or signed up for some type of sustainability pledge even?
Well, we at UPS in 2016, we set our goals to reduce our emissions in our ground operation by 12%. And in a time where we are growing with e-commerce, which is a good thing, but that means we sometimes have to drive more, right? Because we all sit with our phones and we place orders and then we want it tomorrow. So we have to drive a few more miles. So it creates a challenge for us, not one that would make us not attempt to make the goal, but we just have to be smarter how we do it. So to help us reduce our emissions by 12%, we have 3 levers that we put in place to do that. And again, being a company that flies planes and drives trucks every day, renewable fuels is definitely going to be a key to us making that goal. So by 2025, we have a goal that 40% of the fuel that we use will be of a renewable source. By 2025, 25% of the energy that we use will be renewable. So we need help from like Southern companies, Georgia Power.
Yeah.
And then by 2020, 1 out of every 4 vehicles that we purchase will be alternative fuel or advanced technology.
Wow.
Yeah,
Those
so
are some aggressive goals, it sounds
they are.
like. Yes.
They are, and as we look to set the next set of goals, I mean, we just have to be more aggressive as we hear other people's goals and just trying to be to 0%
Right.
emissions. You just have
Do
to
you
be
have a low
aggressive.
to no carbon type goal out there long term? A low to no carbon type goal?
Not yet, but we are, with our facilities, we are looking at how we can build facilities that are net zero.
Yes.
And right now we're getting to near zero
Right.
emissions, yeah.
Well, net zero, Eddie, the military base certainly has embraced that as a goal. Why don't you share that?
Okay, the base has the ultimate goal of achieving net zero by 2020. In June of 2020, we'll be there. I don't think any other Navy or Marine base is even close to doing it, but let me tell you the government definition of net zero. It is that the base will produce as much electricity from renewable energy sources as it consumes in a year. That's not to say that we won't need to buy some power, say, in summertime from Georgia Power because of the air conditioner load and that kind of stuff. But in the wintertime, they will sell back to Georgia Power. So it'll all come out at the end of the year, we'll be net zero.
Wow, now that's an aggressive goal.
Yeah.
Are you on, how close are you? Talk about the path to get there. What are some of the things you've done?
Oh, my goodness. Well, for us, this is our 3rd energy savings performance contract. And this one, I know people probably don't know about what that is, but energy savings performance contracts, the ESCOs, the people that do them, put up the money to put the stuff in, they install it, and they operate it, and we pay them back by the savings. So it's a guaranteed savings contract. So that's going to put us at net zero and probably some more.
Right.
So that's how it works. It's a contract that you pay back. Now, the problem in the government, when the budget people see that our electricity bill is going to be half now, they want to take that other half and do, no, I got to pay the contractor, man.
Right, exactly. You need
That's how
some of
that
that money. Very good, very good. So the government has set aggressive goals. Now, Jeff, why don't you tell us what are some goals that you guys have set as a public venue?
Yeah, well, we actually have a solar system here that we're looking to expand. We have a solar system now that's puts about 1.6 megs back into the grid. We partnered up with Georgia Power to put this system in. And if you think about the exhibit hall that we're in, there's 16 more rooms like this or halls like that we have across the campus. You think about the exhibit hall roofs that are above us. We're looking to take those roofs and put solar panels up there and take that, put the panels up, put that power back into the grid
Right.
to help, our community and expand upon our current system.
That's excellent. And so certainly if you've embraced these goals, it's because there's benefits both to your company's bottom lines and to your customers. So talk to us about some of the benefits that you guys are anticipating experiencing by achieving these goals.
Well, similar to Eddie, GWCC has undergone an energy performance project, and it has netted out tons of savings, whether it be all kind of utilities. But a lot of it, we were able to get a lot of the old technologies of lighting, the metal halides, the high-pressure sodiums, and able to repurpose those and have those, I'm trying to think of the right word, having them put into the landfill without the mercury and all that separated.
That's right.
But for GWCC, it is our goal. If you think about the campus itself, we generate about 1.7 billion in economic impact to the state of Georgia So this campus is a catalyst for the activities and for the growth of our state. So we're looking at all kind of opportunities, whether through compostable materials, waste management, to try to continue to improve. Thinking of Eddie and his efforts down at the base, it is just inspiring to hear those efforts that he and Crystal are undertaking.
Yes.
And I think when you talk about, definitely revenues, I think a benefit, it definitely drives an increase of revenue. But I think when Jeff talked about technology, it drives innovation.
Right.
I know for UPS, renewable fuels is definitely a part of what we're going to need to reach our goals, but also innovation and doing things differently, using technology, using data analytics. We have implemented a data analytics software that we call Orion, and it optimizes the network that our drivers that you see in the brown trucks delivering, it optimizes their routes every day. And with that, we save millions of miles every year, which is also millions of dollars in fuel that we're not having to drive. And the greenest mile we know is the one that's not driven.
Yeah.
So I think it drives that. It definitely drives I think a continued brand recognition. And it drives, I think, even for us, better relationship or reputable relationship with our customers.
That's good.
And it mitigates risk.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
For us, the resiliency helps the Installation and Environmental Division provide world-class facilities and environmental and housing support for Marine Corps Logistics Base Albany and all tenant commands and organizations, and to help ensure Marines have combat readiness.
Yes. As you guys can see, Eddie wanted to make sure he was fully prepared for this conversation.
I'm not a speaker.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. So your customers are benefiting. Who else is driving your appetite and your desire here? We hear a lot about even stockholders who are choosing whether or not they want to, purchase your stock. So who are some of the stakeholders that are driving you to make these decisions or to maybe be a little bit more aggressive?
You say stockholders, we see, I think definitely annually, but we are definitely seeing an uptick in investors who are interested in what we're doing around sustainability.
Yes.
Even with our employees, when you talk about stakeholders, employees, people now want to work for companies who are being socially responsible.
That's right. That's right.
So I think it's for us customers for sure, because for us, we are a part of the supply chain. We move everything, and so how we move it and what we do responsibly impacts their emissions and their scope. So I think that's also a part of it for the customer, but even the cities in which we deliver. They're also a stakeholder who are driving us. Cities want to be more resilient.
Yeah.
Cities want us to be a part of those solutions, so partnering with them to be a part of the solution of how do you move freight when you have more people moving to these urban areas.
That's right.
And how do we continue to reduce pollution and reduce congestion? So I think it's all of that for us.
Yeah, great point. Same here for us. If you think about the customer
Jeff,
base
Jeff,
that
bring
we
your
have.
mic up a little bit. There
I'm
you
sorry.
go. Sound loud, and then they'll hear you well.
I was hoping I was manly enough to project out. Apparently not. If you think about our customer base that we all have and that we all, to some degree, maybe compete for, particularly in the convention center trade show business, a lot of our competitors are doing the same thing. So what we're trying to do is figure out ways to set us apart and through some of these efforts of being social responsible. And we're going to continue those efforts, and that kind of helps set you apart from your competitor.
It's true.
Absolutely. So the brand lift is there, and I love the thought that employees are even expecting. They want to work for companies who have this in their sight. So now help us zoom in on a couple specific projects. Maybe give us a flavor of the types of projects that you've undertaken. So first, why don't we start with projects especially around sustainability?
Me? I'm going to read you my project list.
I was hopeful that you would.
This is the government project list. MCLB Albany has the first landfill to gas energy project in the Navy and the Marine Corps, and that's 4 megawatts. We have the first borehole thermal energy storage, which is called BETUS, and that's the first one in the United States, and that's about 3 megawatts.
Wow.
We're hosting a 153-acre solar farm with Georgia Power, and that's 31 megawatts. We have load shedding in 125 buildings. We have base-wide smart grid. We have AMI smart meters. We have LED lighting base-wide, 140,000 fixtures. We have built-in energy management control system, which allows for night setbacks and lighting of HVAC. We have a partnership with Procter & Gamble to install a renewable 8.5 megawatt steam electric generator, which will allow us to achieve net zero. All of these projects are online right now, except for the 8.5 megawatt generator, and it'll be complete in June of 2020.
Wow. Now that's your tax dollars at work. Those are great. A list of projects. We appreciate it. How about
And
you
I can
guys?
talk to the smart grid. We have a smart grid project that we implemented over in the UK. And now you hear all things electrification. So as we continue to increase our electric fleet, one of the challenges that you have is our facilities, all our facilities aren't new. So you're talking about bringing in electric vehicles into your older facilities. And you only have so much electricity coming into the building. You only have so much capacity.
We can always get you some more.
Well, I know, at a cost. At a cost. So with that, one way to help mitigate those costs is that with the smart grid system, it allows you to bring in those electric vehicles, which will pull more current. But also, you can do it with your existing capacity.
That's
because the smart grids, it controls what the building needs. So if we're running, for us, our conveyor systems, one thing we have to remember is that all of the cars don't come back empty at the end of every day.
That's right.
But the smart grid allows, in priority order, the conveyors to run, and then it charges the vehicles based on need. But you can get all of the vehicles charged, and you can run your conveyor systems, and you have power to work in the offices without having to pay to increase your electrical capacity.
That's why we want you to leverage all the capacity you got on site now first, right? Love that.
So you're able to do that. But also, like I mentioned earlier, our rolling laboratory, we're very proud of it. 10,000 vehicles in that rolling laboratory to date, over 10,000, but that is looking at all types of vehicles. And it allows us to see those in real time because we put those on the road. And we're able to see how they operate in different terrains, in different climates as well. Yeah. And then I think just also another project is as we continue to build our new facilities, how we can make them be net zero facilities. Yes. So having a renewable energy source, having battery storage, but then also even having some type of renewable generating source.
Right, very good. That's great.
Yeah, congratulations. That's pretty cool to hear all those numbers. And for us, anytime we do any kind of capital improvement or renovation, in case you don't know, GWCC is the largest convention center in the United States that is Gold LEED certified. So all of our renovations and expansions at a minimum has to be Gold certified. Yeah. We're currently in the middle of an expansion project just outside the doors here where we're adding another 100,000 square feet of exhibit space.
Wow.
But part of that, we're also adding in a garden that we could use. So, we have the employee cafeteria that we serve our team members, and we also have kitchens and whatnot that serves customers like you guys. So part of that is being able to go out to that garden and handpick, particular items in order to use in-house and be sustainable. We also have a beehive that we're super proud of. It's across the street from Northside Drive from where we're at. Yeah. But we're going to take the honey that we harvest from the beehives, and we're going to sell it. It also helps the ecology, around our area as well.
That's right. Oh, that's excellent. That was a surprise about the beehive. Yeah. So now let's talk about projects. Those were projects oriented in sustainability. Let's talk about projects oriented in resiliency and maybe one or two things that you've done to really meet those resiliency goals.
I think, like I already mentioned, one that we do around partnering so with Zipline so we can distribute vaccinations to areas where simply a heavy rain can wash out the road and you can't get it there. And I think in America, we can't even, for the most part, we can't imagine getting in a car accident and needing a blood transfusion and blood not being available.
Right.
But also we partner with using drones to see after a storm, like in the Bahamas, we partner so that we can provide a way to see the need, and then we can provide humanitarian relief
That's
that way.
excellent. Yeah.
And I think that that is for us a lot of our resiliency
Yeah.
projects.
We appreciate how UPS is being a corporate citizen all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, for us, we're continuously looking at our business continuity plan. We're also continuing to look at our succession plan, particularly from my world and my vantage point being an operations guy. That's important. We're continuing to invest in our partners with Georgia Power, the local construction community, our neighbors. Never know when, we may have to give them a hand or they give us a hand, and, related to the tornado I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you bring up a good point. You do have some pretty powerful neighbors right around us. So how do you work as an authority, right? It's really the Georgia World Congress Center authority. So talk to us about that dimension of how you work with the other venues to make sure we can meet resiliency goals that maybe Mercedes-Benz Stadium has to have in order to have the Super Bowl there.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Mercedes-Benz. You may not know, but the Georgia World Congress Center, the state actually owns a Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I would like to say, if it wasn't for us, it wouldn't be no Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But let's don't tell nobody here that
Right.
we work
We
with,
won't
right?
tell Blake that.
You recall they had a small football game, a few months back. But also inside the World Congress Center, we held a fanfare. To me, we had more customers here inside the building versus inside that little stadium across the street here. But it's super important to have those relationships. Us being a state entity, the state's never going to go out of business. The World Congress Center, and we've been a catalyst for growth for our particular area. So we're pretty proud of having those, not only state partnerships, those city partnerships, but neighbors. So it's a great working relationship that we have with all.
Yeah, I think it's great to make sure everybody knows there's a reason why all of these venues, these sporting venues, are right next door, right beside you.
Appreciate that.
He talked about partnerships. One thing that we do around partnerships is with cities, and we started it in 2012 in Munich, Germany, in Hamburg, Germany, where we partnered with the city because they wanted to not have vehicles coming in certain parts of the city. And so we now deliver in those areas with electric assist bicycles. We bring a trailer out to the city center every day, and the drivers or the riders of those bikes come to the trailer to get those packages, and they deliver on e-assist bicycles in that area. And that has just expanded for us. And even we're looking at over 30 projects worldwide that we're looking at now to continue those types of partnerships with cities. But for us, it helps to mitigate risk. It helps cities, look ahead for solutions around sustainability and resiliency.
Excellent. So how about this last question? We'll delve into the smart city space. So as cities are working hard to really become a smart city, how is it that what would you expect differently for a city that you're located in that considers itself a smart city? What service would you possibly expect differently? Or you can answer the converse of that question, which is, here's what I'd be willing to do in order to enable that city to be smart.
I think there are many things, and even in the Atlanta area where we see smart cities, there are different organizations and we've done this in the DC area. We have worked with Georgetown University and the DC DOT to share information so that the researchers could assess travel and congestion in certain areas, and then use that data to try to help the community and have results to help the community improve congestion.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
And I think it's more of that, ways that we can use technology to help us all exist in that small area.
Yeah, and to share your data with the city, right? So that
It's true.
that's right.
Yeah, if you're in a smart city, if you want to be a part of a smart city, you want to be able to see how they're managing those resources and see what those benefits are. And you want to be able to track it through data and what have you. Mentioning about competitors, most conventions that we have come through, they want to know what our sustainability and our social responsibility programs are. And I believe, I'm fairly certain that part of their decision-making process helps determines based on our activities and our programs that we have here. And who wouldn't want to move into a smart city? Because if you're not doing it, if we're not doing it, our local other cities are going to be doing it, our competitors are going to be doing it. We're going to lose those opportunities to increase our residents, increase the opportunity to bring businesses into our communities.
Very much. Eddie, you want to close us out on that question?
Yeah, for the base, with being net zero and all, we're also there to help the city of Albany, and we also are safe haven for the Marines at Paris Island and other Navy bases and all in the Southeast. So to have all the smart grid stuff and all the stuff that works with that in the smart city, and I think the concept of smart city is really cool. This is the first I've heard of it, but it's really good, and that excites me to be able to have the safe haven for not only for the Marines but for the city of Albany too.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for answering my questions. Now let's see if there are any questions that the audience might decide to queue up for us. We got some folks roaming around with mics, so if you can just put your hand up nice and high, we'll get one of our mic runners to you. We see a question coming right here from the rear.
Hi, Margaret Kelly from the Southeast Energy Efficiency Alliance. And all three of you have organizations that have big buildings or lots of facilities. I particularly work in the building code space. So it would be interesting to hear what technologies or what building components you all see as helping with the resiliency in context with the carbon reduction.
I think it's much like Jeff said. I mean, when we build facilities, we attempt to do that with LEED certifications to make sure, which is going to make sure that our buildings are resilient and bring a sustainability picture to it. We do that also with energy management. We don't use a lot of water, but we do to wash our vehicles. So where we do, we're now putting in reclaim systems for all new facilities, as well as trying to go back to do that. And then even for us, increasing our renewable energy use, so using solar and those other types of options to bring in renewable energy. But I think energy management is a key portion of that too.
Yeah, same thing for us. We have a couple of building management systems. We have a couple of different dashboards that gives us different readings that we can help monitor our power usage, our consumption, our water usage, and it gets granular down into the cooling towers and how much water we're having to backfill from evaporation.
And all government buildings are designed to be minimum LEED silver, and we strive to be LEED gold, and that's a whole bunch of stuff to make it really, really tight, really efficient.
Very good. Thank you.
Hello, Daniel Uribe from Cherry Street Energy. I have a question regarding to Crystal. Specifically, you had mentioned that in your Germany example, how you were limited by policy to create a solution to have those riders come to your tractor. But have you taken any initiatives that weren't taken in case by a policy restriction, but rather an initiative by UPS itself?
Yeah, so even in that case, the regulation had not been put into place. So we took the initiative to be a part of that consortium to come up with a solution for cities. And even where we look at that now, where we partner with universities, so whether it's academia or whether it's cities, the goal for us to, one, show that we are a leader in the community, that we want to be responsible, that we want to be a partner in the community. And I think in addition to that, we know that if we're able to find a solution today, then once the regulation is put in place, then we've already come up with tools in our toolbox or solutions to help us mitigate risk as it relates to being able to operate the business in an area. So even though, now over in Europe, some places you do have regulations for zero emission zones or low emission zones. When we were doing this back in 2012, the regulations did not exist.
Very good. Maybe one final question? If not, let us thank the panel, please, for their comments today. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate the work that all of you are doing to make sure that you're decreasing your carbon footprint, being more sustainable, and being more resilient. We all benefit from it every day. Thank you so much. And we will close out this panel discussion.